And our eyes need to shift to the road ahead of us, which means we need technology and even leveraging and adopting AI to help us with the horizon scanning, what's coming at us and the prediction, but also to facilitate the gathering of the information to what's relevant here and now. So many times I've come across organizations like this one firm, 200 hours to build a risk report for the board of directors. And by the time they gathered all this information, they found out they had risk issues that were months ago. They're out of control now. That's not managing risk at that point. That's reacting to risk. And we need to start forward looking in risk and compliance management, which really requires we start thinking about how do we adopt technologies for governance, risk, and compliance, particularly AI, and to be able to leverage us and put us more forward looking, not just rearview mirror looking. But we need to take AI to enable us to navigate uncertainty on the road ahead. And so I'm a big believer in ISO 31000. And ISO 31000, the international standard on risk management, says risk is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. That gives us the context that the rearview mirror is an important safety device, same as the dashboard. We need to be able to glance at that, but our eyes need to be on the road ahead of us. What's coming at the organization from a regulatory perspective, from a risk perspective? How do we prepare for that? And we have a lot of information that needs to come into that and provide us context on that. This requires that AI become a significant part of what I call GRC orchestration. And in my models of the market, I talk a lot about GRC 7.0, GRC orchestrate. And that's not actually a term that I developed. That's a term that my friend Ian Hollowbread created. Ian Hollowbread was the chief operating officer for digital innovation at ING Bank. And he ran ING Labs in London. And I worked with them putting a lot of this futuristic GRC technology through the paces and looking at things. We compared notes quite frequently on what was going on with technology in the market. But he had this whole project within ING called GRC Orchestrate. How can we leverage a lot of different technology? Because there's not one solution out there that it solves all of GRC's needs. It's an ecosystem and it's an architecture of risk and compliance, technology and content and intelligence, and it requires orchestration. And so I've taken that term GRC orchestrate with permission from Ian Hollowbread and have leveraged it for GRC 7.0, GRC orchestrate, to be able to leverage AI, things like agentic AI and natural language processing and machine learning, predictive analytics, to enable orchestration across the business. You look at a symphony, and there's lots of pieces to the symphony orchestra: the violins, the violas, the cellos, the bass, the woodwinds, the brass, the percussion. This is your business. You've got IT risk, or what I like to call digital risk and resilience. You've got enterprise and operational risk and resilience. You have corporate compliance and ethics. You got the audit and assurance department, and you've got to conduct the symphony of things like EU DORA, the EU AI Act, and NIS2 and things. This isn't one department that has to deal with this. It's multiple departments, including procurement and supply chain and third-party risks and the digital supply chain. There's so much going on in the symphony of the business, and requires orchestration across a lot of different departments. And AI has a fundamental component in orchestrating this and bringing this information and perspective together. It's been attributed to both Einstein and Schumacher, so I don't know who it originally came from, but the statement is that any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. And that's what we're faced with today, is with new evolutions in technology like artificial intelligence. And how do we take all this massive information and make better sense of it? Winston Churchill stated that we have all this conflicting information, and true genius resides in making sense of a lot of conflicting, disparate, siloed information out there. I'm paraphrasing him, not quoting him directly because I don't have my specific slide here to refer to. But, that's what things like Eve from Evolved Solutions delivers, is that use of AI in governance, risk, and compliance to bring a lot of conflicting information and disparate information and perspectives from the regulation itself to all this information that has to be gathered for reporting to provide validation on that. And that's what the interesting perspective that we're seeing today that is so necessary to manage things from third-party risks to enterprise and operational risk down to the digital risk and resilience of the organization, and dealing with things like NIS2 and DORA and the EU AI Act and CER and so much more out there, even into the US where I'm from on Sarbanes-Oxley. And there's so much coming at organizations. So my perspective on all this is governance, risk management, compliance should not be the handbrake. AI enables GRC to be the navigation system, helping the business steer safely through uncertainty towards its objectives. The heart of the GRC definition, defined in the OSEG GRC capability model, is that GRC is a capability to reliably achieve objectives, whether they're entity level objectives, whether they're objectives around information like personal information, confidentiality, integrity, availability. They're in layers in between, or even in a third party relationship, you've got objectives. We achieve those objectives, we address the uncertainty in the context of those objectives, and of course and that's risk management, and we act with integrity, the compliance aspect of it. And so GRC is a capability to reliably achieve objectives, the G, address uncertainty, the R, and act with integrity, the C. And AI enables this to help be the navigation system for the business to be able to focus on the road ahead of us, not just the road behind us.